Many experts out there already know how this thing ends. Now, unfortunately for us and our viewers, we are not among those experts because we have no idea what the future looks like. So, being the misinformed simpletons we are, let's stick to what we think we know following Week 7. Your first stop.
I think I know that Gus Malzahn, the head coach of Auburn, has to fight the temptation to air it out against Arkansas and the rest of the season. I'm not saying don't throw the football because there are times where you have to throw the football. I mean, he has to fight the temptation of making this the star of his offense. And the reason I say that is because mid-season, you've seen what Auburn has lacked, and it's been a running game. And to me, that's been the biggest problem for them, having a lack of production at the quarterback position because you haven't had a run game to lean on. Auburn, a team that likes to run between the tackles, look at what they had the first half, Josh. You've got Braden Smith at guard, first-time starter. You've got Alex Kozan at guard, who was out the entire year last year, and you've got Austin Colson, a transfer at center.
The game that this compares to me is a lot more like the 2012 Texas A&M game, when A&M came in there after Alabama had gone on the road, hostile environment against a highly ranked opponent, and they beat LSU. And they came back home pretty badly beat up, just like they are this weekend, off a big win, just like they are this weekend. And they're facing a team that has underachieved a little bit, but still is supremely talented, just like they are this weekend. First mobile quarterback you'll face all year, Josh Dobbs, just like you'll see this weekend. That's the kind of situation that presents itself to me Saturday for Alabama.
Is it?
I think I know many people are still completely in the dark when it comes to Big 12 quarterbacks.
Oh, here we go.
I am not going to cite the publication nor the author. I'm just going to read you something that I saw online today. While other leagues continue to struggle to find dynamic passers, Ohio State continues to flip-flop, and grad transfers continue to start at FSU, Bama, Michigan, Oregon, and other places. Trevon Boykin and the fast-rising group of young passers in the Big 12 have made it a hot spot once again for prolific quarterback play, Mr. Rivers. How about that? It doesn't quite match, says the writer, that 2008 group led by Sam Bradford, Colt McCoy, Graham Harrell, Chase Daniels, Zach Robinson, Todd Reesing. That's still the gold standard. But everybody, according to Art Briles, Baylor head coach, everybody's got a good quarterback in this league and great offensive linemen too. How about this? What a coincidence. TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, they all rank among the top 15 nationally in fewest sacks allowed. Isn't it just a striking coincidence how all the great quarterbacks in the country statistically just seem to funnel into the Big 12? It's like it's a faucet for great quarterback play, great offensive lines, great wide receivers, great running backs. Aren't statistics amazing, Mr. Rivers? You know, there was one word that I didn't see mentioned a single time in this entire article. It starts with a D. Do you know what it was?
It's probably defense.
It is. And that falls right in line with the entire theme in the Big 12.
I'm glad I don't have to speak on that because I couldn't keep up the sarcasm that you had because I was just going to let loose on it.
It was tough.
All right. Dalvin Cook is a straw that stirs his drink for Florida State. If you look at the prior game against Louisville, first half he gets about 3 carries. Second half they feed him the football and he runs wild and Florida State opens that game up along with their defense. Dalvin Cook is an explosive running back. He's got championship game experience. The only thing that concerns me is his thigh because his hamstring has been hampered over the past 2 or 3 weeks.
And it's inexcusable to be in a Power 5 conference and literally look at your schedule and say, we'll make it until the second to last week of the season before we even go up against a team that can push back on us. That's Ohio State. It's inexcusable for a team like Florida State to look at their schedule and go, well, let's see, where is it? Well, there's the game this year. There's the one that could trip us up, Clemson, and then Florida at the end of the year? Not even a conference game. Once again, it's not their fault. It's not Florida State's doing their job. Jimbo Fisher's doing his job. Urban Meyer, Ohio State's doing their job. Harbaugh and Michigan will. Mark D'Antonio has probably maximized that program's potential at Michigan State. How in the world is the money at the point that it is in this sport and there aren't more quality teams and programs in this sport? It's beyond me. It's not one conference's problem anymore. There's underachievement all over the place. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stay the same. Florida, I am not bumping down at all.
Right.
They lost to my number 1 team by 7 on the road. So, hey, I think if anything, it validated my thinking on them. Oklahoma, what an enigma they are, by the way.
Right.
I thought all along last week that was one of, if not the most impressive performances, all things considered, we saw. They went on the road and blanked Kansas State, who, by the way, hung 45 on the AP's number 2 team the week before. What if Florida State runs the table in the regular season in the ACC, undefeated, already guaranteed a spot in the conference title game, and then they go into Gainesville and lose the last week of the season?
Whoa.
that may render the outcome of that ACC title game pretty irrelevant.
A rivalry week will do that to some teams. This year, I guarantee you it'll knock some teams out of playoff contention. Can't believe you bumped the team up after a loss. Don't you understand? That's not the way we do things.
Unbelievable. I'm never going to get to vote in that AP poll at this rate. You guys keep saying conference titles should matter or shouldn't matter when they pick the 4 teams for the playoff. How does that make any sense, Michael and Smith Station?
Well, it makes sense because we're talking about the 4 best teams. And who says that the 4 best teams cannot come from the same conference? You've already said the scenario if Alabama beats LSU and LSU goes undefeated after that, they are 11-1 with a loss to Alabama on the road. So are you sitting here and telling me, if you're a resume guy or girl, what have you, even with their resume, but just knowing how good LSU is, you mean to tell me they still couldn't be one of the 4 best teams?
Conference titles are good for one thing, deciding who the best team in the conference is, correct?
Right.
Okay, unless you're telling me there's no plausible scenario where out of 126 teams, it could happen that more than one of the best 4 teams in the country happen to reside in the same area geographically in the country. Unless you're telling me that's out of the question, which obviously it's not. Why would conference championships matter?
Right.
Why in the world would they matter? So you're telling me if I took LSU and parked them about 120 miles to the west and said, well, you're now a Big 12 team, it would make a difference? What if I took them 120 miles to the east and parked them in the ACC? They're no different a team. I can guarantee you they're running roughshod over that conference, though. All of a sudden, that'd be good enough for your Final Four then? At about 11:55 on Saturday morning, I'm going to pray for you because I want you to win. They want you to win. Everybody wants you to win, but at the same time, this streak, I mean, I feel like the Cal Ripken of this show, and on one hand, I feel sorry for you, but on the other hand, I feel like it's my duty to dominate you as thoroughly and as extensively as possible. So, Matt, please put my picks up here. First game, Tennessee at Alabama. You may ask why we're picking it. I agree with you. Alabama. Next up, Auburn at Arkansas. This is one Brett Bielema always has circled. I'll take Arkansas, confidence of 2. A couple of ones here, A&M and Miami. And this is, these would be 2 upsets according to the point spread. This may change throughout the week. Utah at USC. This would not be an upset according to the point spread. I think Southern Cal, I picked against Utah last week, got burned. I am not deterred because I still won the competition. I'll take Southern Cal this week. And Florida State on the road at Tech. I'll take Florida State. I think they'll be undefeated going into the Clemson game. Mr. Rivers, you're up.
Throw them up. Let's go, Matt. Alabama's on the verge of doing something I didn't think they'd do this year, and that's go undefeated in the month of October. 1 win against Tennessee does it. I think they're too dominant up front. I like Alabama with a 6 right now. Auburn going on the road to Arkansas. To me, these teams may be headed in 2 different directions. Arkansas still hasn't been able to find their identity. Auburn's rush defense is horrible, but I think they can load the box, and Arkansas doesn't have the weapons on the outside to really test Auburn. I like Auburn on the road.